most of them are made in China, and most of them are made in our factory. Yeah, I'm telling you. But why these luxury brands never tell you that? Because they are trying to pretend to be products of some sophisticated European countries like Italy or France.
We are going to be successful. In a few weeks, the shop was open. We sell the most expensive products in a country where everybody was going by bicycle.
Saw a slowdown and a contraction in the global luxury market. About 50 million people either opted out or were forced out of the luxury market over the past 2 years.
I do feel people started to get tired of purchasing products and realize that we just bought too much. And it didn't really make us happier.
Y'all, could the Chinese manufacturers have actually forced Bernard Arnault into an early retirement? Because listen, LVMH shareholders had agreed that Bernard could stay CEO until he was 85 years old. 85, y'all. And he had a whole decade left to run luxury fashion into the ground if he wanted to. But here we are, at just 76 years young, rumors are swirling that Bernard might finally be hanging up his tailored suit jackets and calling it a day. And y'all, it's not just because he's tired at 76. It's after these tariffs. The Chinese TikTokers coming for luxury brands next and receipts being dropped about how these so-called French-made luxury items are actually coming from Chinese factories and being sold with 1,000% markup. Y'all, that started with Hermes and now it's Louis Vuitton's turn on the chopping block. Now this is the kind of expose that you do not want to miss, so buckle up baby, because we're diving deep into the glittery mess behind these Louis Vuitton logos. Let's get into it. So let's start right at the top, shall we? Because the Italian government just grabbed Dior and LVMH by their designer collars and started airing them out. They're straight up filing lawsuits against Dior, LVMH, and Armani, calling them out for lying about where their stuff is made. And y'all, it's not giving romantic little artisan in a cute Italian village. No, not at all, baby. Turns out a lot of these so-called made in Italy luxury pieces are actually mass-produced in China. Then brands do the bare minimum in Italy, like adding a button or sewing a strap just so they can legally slap the fancy made in Italy tag on it. But get this, one of the biggest bombshells dropped back in June 2024. Italian courts placed manufacturers Dior SRL, that's Dior's production company in Italy, under full court control. Why? Because prosecutors found out Dior was subcontracting their work to small Chinese-owned factories like Pelletteria, Elisabetta Yang SRL, and New Leather Italy SRLS. And y'all, the conditions inside, absolutely disgusting. Workers doing crazy overtime without getting paid, no health protections, people were literally sleeping at their sewing machines just to keep up with orders. Meanwhile, Dior's out here charging y'all $6,000 for a handbag.
It costs Dior less than 60 euros to make a handbag that it sells for nearly 3,000 euros. That's what Italian authorities found out when they raided factories making products for Dior and other fashion brands like Armani.
But let's be very clear, Dior is not the only one. This is a dirty little secret across the whole luxury industry. They sell you this dream about European craftsmanship, but behind the scenes, they're cutting every corner possible just to stack their coin. So next time you're holding that $3,000 bag feeling fancy, huh? Well, just know that you might actually be holding a piece of a huge, messy lie. And y'all, hang tight because it gets even worse when you hear how little these workers are paid. Like, you're seriously gonna wanna throw hands after this. But right after those lawsuits started popping off, Reuters came through swinging with some straight up jaw-dropping reveals. Y'all, no exaggeration, this might want to make you throw your designer bag out the window or in the trash, or at least in the back of the closet for now. But turns out that LVMH, you know, the group behind Louis Vuitton, Dior, Fendi, and a bunch others, has been blatantly exploiting Chinese workers, not just in China, but also in these secret little workshops hidden inside Italy. But wait for it, because the numbers are absolutely insane. A $2,780 Dior bag was exposed as being made for just, get ready, $57. Meanwhile, they got people out here breaking their necks to buy it for almost $3 grand. But according to inside sources, these luxury bags weren't just made in shady conditions. They were made by workers who didn't even have legal papers to work in Italy. These Chinese workers were literally living inside the factory, sleeping right next to the machines they spent 15 to 16, even 18 hours working on. No real breaks, no real homes, no basic rights, just grinding day and night so these brands could keep selling their luxury fantasy to the rest of the world. And the nerve, LVMH still out here posting up at a fashion show, sipping champagne and acting like they're the pinnacle of style and success, when behind the scenes, they're running the biggest. See somebody flexing their Dior saddlebag on the gram, just know it might have cost them $2,780, but Dior barely spent enough to cover a dinner date. And if you thought the $57 Dior bag scandal was bad, it only gets worse from here. So you know that $1,500 Louis Vuitton never full bag that's literally everywhere on TikTok and Instagram? Yes, y'all, the one that everybody's been fighting to get? Well, guess how much it actually cost them to make? $50.
Okay, let's go.
And y'all, this isn't just some rumor floating around. Insiders and investigators have been screaming about this markup for years. They exposed that Louis Vuitton's markup is over 1,000%, meaning that they can make a bag for every little pocket change and flip it for luxury prices like it's handcrafted from unicorn tears or fairy dust. But y'all, there's more. A former luxury manufacturing insider came through with some real tea. Turns out a lot of these high-end materials aren't even true luxury grade anymore. Like, not even always top-tier leather.
The chip came out. A little over 1 square foot of vaqueta leather came out. 2 different finishes. The best vaqueta leathers in the market is $7, $8. At their level, let's give them $10. And you need 2 square foot. So $20 for the leather, $5 for the materials, inner linings, fabrics, authentication, chip, and $10 for the labor.
And about that romantic image of Italian grandpa's hand snitching bags in the Tucson sun, throw it away. It's a fantasy. It's garbage. Because most of the time, the bags are either made in China or by low-paid Chinese workers tucked away in dusty workshops across Europe, not the glam squads the ads want you to believe in. So let's keep it real a second. For a millisecond, that $1,500 never full bag probably cost less than your monthly phone bill to make. And it was likely stitched together by an overworked, underpaid worker living in terrible conditions. And Louis Vuitton slapped 1,000% markup on it because they know you will pay for the clout. And just when you thought it couldn't get any messier, TikTok turned it into an all-out battle. Chinese creators basically said, "We're tired of the lies," and started dragging luxury brands through the mud for everybody to see. One name you need to know? Wang Sen. This man wasn't just talking slick. He's been given full-blown exposés, like he's walking through these factories showing actual workers sewing what looks like suspiciously Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Gucci bags. And y'all, the resemblance was not coincidental.
You recognize this style, this bag? Of course you do. For the past more than 30 years, we have been the OEM factory for most of the luxury brands around the world. Gucci, Prada, Coach, Louis Vuitton, you name it. But for this, I am not proud because we were only making our wages. The profit margin for the people who are actually making the bags are very low.
But get this, after Wang Xian's video started going viral crazy, TikTok came through swift with the mass bans. And I'm talking wiping his accounts clean, poof, gone, not once, not twice, but multiple times. And while TikTok was busy scrubbing Wang off the platform, the Chinese girlies had already moved on to the next play. Apps like Taobao and DHgate started shooting up with App Store charts. Why? Because sellers started flooding TikTok feeds with luxury dupes like actual made in the same factory products and dropping all the receipts, side-by-side comparisons, full breakdowns, quality checks. Y'all, the drama is unmatched. And people were literally reconsidering their whole closets after seeing how these dupes look like the real thing.
Okay, so with all of the hype about the Chinese-made bags versus in-factory bags, so this is one on the go Louis Vuitton that I bought from DHgate, and then I also bought it from the actual store.
But of course, some people started yelling Chinese propaganda, trying to brush it all off. But the screenshots, these factory videos, and the receipts, they're telling a different story, and it's looking embarrassing for these luxury brands. But before we get too deep into dragging these brands, we gotta keep it real, because not everybody is sipping this tea without asking some serious bad questions. A lot of people in the fashion world are side-eyeing all these viral videos popping up and basically saying, hold up, wait a minute. Would a real luxury factory even risk putting this all out there? And honestly, they kind of have a point. See, when it comes to luxury brands, these contracts these factories have to sign are no joke. We're talking strict NDAs, the type where even if you think about leaking the picture, your whole business could get shut down. Some insiders even say if a real supplier got caught spilling info like this, they'd be sued into another lifetime. No exaggeration. So when you really think about it, it's kind of sus that all these videos are floating around so freely, right? Well, that's why a lot of experts believe some of these viral clips are probably showing factory overruns or high-quality dupes, meaning the bags and goods look super real. They might even use the same materials, but they aren't actually or officially stamped and blessed by the brands themselves. It's like getting the same recipe but made in somebody else's kitchen, if you get my drift. But here's the real kicker, and you gotta hear this because manufacturers aren't just sitting around waiting for these brands to fix it. No, they're flipping the whole game upside down. Because listen, some of these Chinese manufacturers, they're woke and woke all the way up and they're moving real different now. They're looking at the situation like, why should we keep getting paid pennies to make these bags when we can just sell them ourselves? And honestly, where is the lie? Now they're selling direct to consumers. No brand names, no middlemen, no crazy markups. Just the same high-end bags, same materials, straight from the source for a fraction of what you pay in a Louis Vuitton or a Dior boutique.
Now you know China made everything, but 90% of the websites they're telling you now is not even in English. Here are 3 better websites that actually work for you. For light industry and daily use, go to madeinchina.com. Founded in 1998, leading B2B portal. Many well-established factories have open stores on this platform.
Now imagine getting that same buttery leather, that same stitching, that same craftsmanship for $300 instead of $3,000. It's almost disrespectful how much they were taxing us for a logo alone. This might just be in the very beginning of the biggest luxury revolution we've ever seen. Right now, LV's whole image, their legacy, even that unbreakable trust they're built with the public, absolutely under serious fire. Like, it's not just a little scandal that blows over in a week. This is deep, y'all. People feel like they've been lied to for years, hoodwinked, bamboozled, spending life savings thinking that they were buying the best of the best, only to find out it was being pieced together in a random factory next to someone else's flip-flops. Like, be for real. And get this, behind the scenes, word on the streets is that Bernard Arnault, the CEO who built LVMH into luxury giant it is today, well, he might be packing it up, y'all, because early retirement talks are heating up. And let's be real, it's giving I'm too old for this mess type of vibes.
And the first time in 91 I arrived in Beijing, there was no car, only bicycles. And we were opening the first Louis Vuitton shop.
Like, imagine being the king of luxury, the richest man in the world at one point, only to have your entire foundational empire start cracking because of a bunch of TikTok whistleblowers and viral factory tours exposing the truth. Well, the illusion was everything, and once it shattered, baby, it's like the whole house of cards just started shaking a table. Now, they're saying Bernard might try to spin it like he's gracefully stepping down because of his age or to enjoy life with his family, but we can see through all of that. Nobody is stepping down happy when their billion-dollar brand is getting dragged through the mud online every day. But listen, if you think that this luxury drama is hot right now, buckle up, baby, because this just might be the very beginning of the biggest luxury industry shakeup we've seen in our lifetime. But now I got to hear from you. Are you victim to these luxury brands? And do y'all think that Louis Vuitton can survive this exposure era? Or is this a slow, messy fall in the biggest luxury empire of them all? And what about Bernard? Is he really retiring gracefully, or is he just running from a sinking ship? Drop your thoughts and comments below, because this conversation is just getting started. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because I just know you're living for this luxury drama tea like me.